Welcome to Transforming Lives with Dr. Liya. Dr. Liya Mutale is an author, Bible-believing ordained minister of the gospel, entrepreneur, life coach, medical doctor, mentor, mother, strategy policy analyst, and visionary leader. In this podcast, she discusses her book, Transform to Transform Zambia. Episode 10, Chapter 9, Epilogue. Do not give up. You can do this.
Clear your mind of all the clutter. Be clear of who you are, whose you are, and why you are on earth. What is your purpose? What visions do you see of your life? What dreams have you had about yourself? You cannot get to a place you have not been to in your mind. Have a clear image of who you are, not what you are. Stop making excuses. Almost everyone God used in the Bible had some problem or the other. Moses stammered. He thought he was not eloquent enough. Leah was not pretty. Rahab was a prostitute. Gideon had low self-esteem. Abraham lied, etc. In order for God to glorify himself, he uses the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. He makes the poor rich and the weak strong, all for his name's sake. Look through the eyes of God, who sees the end from the beginning. He is the author and the finisher of our faith, the beginning and the end. He was there before we got here. It all sounds so easy, but sometimes things may not go as they should. Things will go wrong now and again. When that happens, pick yourself up and start all over. Remember that out of every adversity comes an equal or greater opportunity. So if things don't seem to work out right, even after you followed the book, just hang in there. God is up to something. So fellow citizens of this beautiful nation of Zambia, I appeal to us as individuals to go out there and do what we do best and leave the rest to God. After all, we are God's nation, a Christian nation, the only nation in the world that has openly declared itself one. From what I know about God, He never fails, and nothing, let me say that again, nothing is impossible with God. And if we have chosen to identify ourselves with God, then failure is not an option. I pray this has been of help. Bless you. Dr. Liya.
This is Transforming Lives with Dr. Liya.
So maybe let's begin to sort of go back and tie everything into the last chapter before we close this series, because we are closing this series, and I'll take you back to the very first chapter. And the first chapter is why we are here, why we are where we are. Maybe let's just do it a brief recap, but let's relate it to love so that we have perspective. Why we are where we are, why we are here, where we are in life.
Yeah, I think generally I was talking about why we are where we are as a nation.
Yes.
As a people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somewhere in the book I do say that I think the love of God left us. We are where we are because we lost the love of God. And you see, if we don't have the love of God, then the presence of God is not there. For as long as the presence of God is there, then we will prosper as a nation. But if the presence of God is not there, then we cannot prosper. There is no way that we are going to sit in whether it is in government offices or in the private sector or anywhere and do our job properly, because if we do not have the love of God and the fear of God, then we will misuse resources. We're going to be careless about what we do. But as soon as we have the fear of God and the love of God in us, because in our minds we are thinking, whatever I do, I am doing for a people. There are people who will never sit where I sat or where I'm sitting. But I'm sitting where I'm sitting to speak for those people or to do whatever it is I need to do for those people. So I should have that love of God. I should have that transformed mind, so that I must understand that it's not all about me. It's about the rest.
It's not about the salaries.
No, come on,
There's
salary.
way more
No.
to what we do than the salary.
No. So you have to have this mindset, even as you sit there, whatever position you have when you're holding anywhere, sit there with that mindset that it's not about me. And at the end of the day, it's not about the salary. Yes, fine, we need the salary to survive. But then it's about what good am I doing? What change can I make? What contribution can I make to make a difference in the life of that old woman in Changombo, or that orphan somewhere in Chama, or in Shuangandu, or wherever they are? So it's just, for me, it is just important that we needed to embrace the presence of God in order for us to prosper and to move forward.
Even on a personal level, people are, when we talk about this chapter, we say why we are where we are. So what you're saying is that people could be struggling because they have left out God's love. You know, I was challenging someone that if you sense a drought, don't give excuses, pray. Tend to God, don't explain it. Let God explain it to you. So maybe if you're struggling, someone's maybe watching us and struggling, trying to set up a business, maybe in the home. So what you are saying is that when God's love is not there, it's usually the first source of struggle, isn't it?
Yes. And at the end of the day, I mean, the Bible also tells us that your real boss is God. You know, it doesn't matter who employed you, it doesn't matter. When you're sitting down there alone, no one is watching. God is there. So you just have to be aware of the fact that no matter what I do, God is watching. So for me, it's important to know that, you know, we do these things for the good, for the greater good. You know, it's really not about me. It's about what is it. I may be an individual, maybe a small pawn in the game, but what is it that I can do to make the difference? And once you can do that, you've done your part.
In chapter 2, you say, Zambia, my beloved country. And then you talk about the naming of Zambia as a nation. You talk about the Zambezi River, and you talk about the values and the wealth of this nation. I want you to again tie that into God's love for this country.
Yeah, for me, I definitely believe that Zambia was called to be a great Christian nation long before anyone pronounced it.
That's right.
If you look at our natural resources, our mineral resources, we are endowed with so much wealth, unbelievably.
Yes.
What we see now is so little. It's the tip of the iceberg. We have beautiful waterfalls. We hold almost 45% of the fresh waters of sub-Saharan Africa. What else would you ask for? Look at our landscape. Look at our climate.
Most of our land is arable.
You know, yes, it's arable land, and you could do anything. You know, our seasons are such that you can grow anything the whole year through. So tell me, what is it? Where did we miss it? Because we have everything. And I don't agree when people call Zambia poor. I've never called Zambia poor, because Zambia is not poor. But you know what? You will measure Zambia from the poverty of the people, because every country is as rich as its people. But now we're not only talking wealth, physical wealth, we're also talking mental wealth.
That's right.
We're also talking about your mind. So a transformed people is a wealthy people. And once we are transformed, we'll understand what to do with what we have and how to share it equally. Because no Zambian should sleep hungry.
This is Transforming Life with Dr. Liya. We'll be right back. info@transformwithdrliya.com. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're still on it. This is our grand finale from Transform to Transform Zambia. This miniature book that if you haven't read, you need to read. And Doc, we're just going, we're tying this into perspective. This book ends up by talking much about love, God being love. Now we're going through every chapter, so I want us to reflect on chapter 3, that where you talk about taking responsibility.
Well, taking responsibility simply means that for whatever you do, you must take responsibility. Whether it's a wrong thing I did or a good thing I did, I must own up. I must take responsibility. If it was wrong, let me correct it. If it was right, let me see how I can improve on it. Just taking responsibility of one's own life, okay? Your health, your wealth, your relationships, taking responsibility. If it means making a phone call to your father or mother every month or every week, that's taking responsibility of building a relationship. Taking the responsibility of looking after my children. I can't sleep the whole day and hope that month end I'll be able to pay the fees. So I must take responsibility. I had these children. They didn't have a choice. They never asked me to have them. But I had them. So I must take responsibility and look after them. So taking responsibility is about so many other things. If I throw a paper on the floor, really, is that responsibility? No, it's not. So I should pick up that paper and put it where I should put it. I'm taking responsibility.
So it's about maturing, growing up, you know.
Yeah, it's just about acknowledging the surrounding and acknowledging that you don't survive on your own. Acknowledging that there are other people that you affect by the things that you do.
A sense of awareness.
Yeah. And awareness of the presence of God.
That's right. There's so much data here about purpose. I don't understand how you manage to pack all this information in such a small book. But here's a part where you say purpose basically means the reason why something was created. How important is that, to know that we were created for God's love? Why is that important to understand?
Yeah, so all of us were created to answer to a problem. The question is, have you found the problem?
The problem you're called to answer to.
Yes. So all of us were created. You see, there's no useless human being. There's no one who's useless. Everyone was created to answer to a problem. So we just need to find who we are and position ourselves. Because if you don't know who you are, someone else will tell you who you are. And they manipulate you. So once you know who you are, you actually have a reason to live. You know, you have a reason to wake up in the morning and do what you have to do because you know who you are. You know your purpose.
Yes.
So it's also important. I think knowing who you are, to me, brought so much peace in my life. The moment I knew who I was and what I'm doing on this earth, it just brought amazing peace.
Yes. That's great. That's powerful. So our own purpose really does inspire us.
Yes.
To find your purpose, it inspires you to live. Oh, that's powerful. Chapter 5, you talk about preparation. A lot of people are going into projects and things and ministry and whatever, getting married, and they're not ready. They're not ready.
Yeah, unfortunately, they are not ready. But preparation really I talk about because at this stage I'm thinking and hoping that whoever reads this book, they're at different stages in their lives. So really it's a time to look back, you know, to do a SWOT on yourself. You know, what is it? What strengths do I have? What weaknesses do I have? What are the opportunities around me? Or what are the threats? And of course, after looking at all those, then you can begin to look forward to say, okay, then what next? How do I plan my life? You see, many times we think that strategic plans or work plans, whatever, are meant for the job, for work. And no, you can do one for yourself. It can apply to yourself. So who am I? Where am I going in relation to my spiritual life, in relation to my job, my finances? 5 years from now, where do I see myself? So the only way you can get to where you're going is if you know where you're going.
Absolutely.
So if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Mm.
So it's as simple as put it down on paper, make it plain, and let
That's
them
true.
run with it.
I like chapter 6 as well, where you talk about turning your dreams into getting practical
Yeah.
about the things you want to achieve in life.
It's
Getting practical.
easy to dream.
Yeah.
It's
Talk
easy
about the
to
vision
sit.
board.
The vision board, simple. I mean, you can sit there and think, okay, 5 years, 10 years from now, what do I want to see? I want to see myself live in a house like this. Look for it somewhere. Whatever it is in your mind, stick it on your vision board.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see myself drive a car like this. I want to see myself in this career.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see myself as professor lecturing in some big hall. I want to see myself as a nurse, so I want to see myself feeding the hungry. I want to see whatever it is you want to see yourself doing in those years coming, 5, 10 years. Put it on a vision board, and every morning take a look at it. And it sticks, you know, and eventually that you see becomes.
I loved that particular episode when we talked about living life and just enjoying it, because it was just free flowing. How, you know, and now let's marry that to the last chapter that we discussed today. Love, the greatest power of all. How important is it for us to enjoy life out of that sense of loving ourselves? How important is that? Because a lot of people are going through this life begrudgingly, you know, literally feeling like it's a burden and, you know, complaining. It's time to enjoy life. You look at yourself, you love yourself, you enjoy it, enjoy the moment.
Exactly. So if you love yourself, do the things that you love. If you want to go swimming, go and swim. If you want to bungee jump, go and bungee jump. You know, do the things that you love. Of course, the things that you can afford to do. But do the things that you love. Don't feel compelled to do what others are doing because they are doing it. No, do what you want. If someone comes and says, hey, look, I want us to go and go fishing. If that's not your thing, just say, no, I'm not coming. You know, don't dance to the gallery. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to watch a movie. Yeah, I love watching movies. So I'll sit and watch a movie the whole day. So what? That's what I want to do. Yeah, exactly. You know, so just be you. You know, they can only be one you. Don't try to be another person.
That's true.
Be you. If at that point you say you don't want to do something, just don't do it. And do what you love. If you want to listen to music, play the music as loud as you want and dance.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
We'll be right back. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Welcome back.
Ma'am, let's go to our closing chapter, which is chapter 9, the epilogue. And the title is Don't Give Up, You Can Do This. This is a very motivational book, very positive, very inspiring. I'm sure there's somebody out there saying, come on, you're just motivational speakers. I can't do this. It's been hard. Speak to that person.
Yeah, there's always a point where you reach in life where you decide. You know, there are many times that I've also said, oh, I'll do it one day. Yeah, many times I thought these things don't work. I mean, really. But at the end of the day, people must understand that to live a successful life, it's not easy. It's work. And you have to put in the work. You have to be disciplined. You know, discipline is something that lacks in most of the cases.
Yes.
That's why we end up procrastinating. Instead of doing the thing today, you decide to do it tomorrow. And then yesterday you said you would do this, but then the next day you think, no, let me go and visit my friend instead. But for me, I think every single day of your life, you must do something towards your ultimate goal.
That's right.
What is it that you want to become? What is it that you want to do or to be? So towards that, every day, do one thing, at least one thing that moves you towards your goal. And I think you'll be doing good.
So no matter where you are.
No matter where you are.
Just take a step.
Just take that step.
That's right. Stop making excuses.
Oh, yeah.
almost everyone God used in the Bible had some problem or other.
Everyone. Yeah, because he doesn't use the perfect people.
That's
know.
right. It doesn't.
He doesn't
call
call the justified. He justifies the called.
So he can call you no matter
No
where
matter
you are.
where
You could
you
be in
are.
the bar right now,
Mhm.
drunk and missing your step, but God can still use you.
Yes.
That's right. That's
And
right.
then all these excuses we all have excuses. Oh no, I stammer, me I can't talk in public. Oh no, I was a prostitute, so I can't do. No, me,
They know me.
I was a thief. Me, I was, people
Yeah.
transform. That's the reason why we transform. We come from bad to good.
That's right.
So the chance to transform is there. I think the biggest problem we have is that we don't believe it, and then we condemn ourselves, and the enemy is very, very good at reminding us of the past. And I say in the book, leave the past behind. That's why it's called the past. It's past. So leave it. But if you're going to keep holding on to it, oh yes, that time I did this. Yes, you did. Come on. But
There's an addiction, isn't it? There's an addiction that us human beings have with the past.
yeah,
And we
know,
cling to
cling
it.
to it.
You're forgiven, but you still want to.
But you don't forgive yourself.
Yeah.
You can forgive the others, but you don't forgive yourself. So most importantly, like we said earlier, love yourself first.
Yes.
Forgive yourself.
Yes. Know you are worthy.
Yes.
Even if you are the only person on the face of the earth, Jesus
would have still died
come
for
and
you.
died for you
Yes.
because you're worthy.
And mind you, he died for the sins you haven't even committed yet.
If God thinks that we are worthy, then we should believe it.
Yeah, we should. But this thing of condemnation, self-condemnation, it has killed a lot of people.
In most of our churches and different denominations, we have a guilty based kind of gospel, isn't it? We want people to feel guilty of their sin. It's like repentance should be driven by guilt, isn't it?
I think that in most churches, people don't go to church because they love God and they love Jesus. They go to church because they're afraid of going to hell. So that is not a good thing. And that's why you find a lot of miserable people in church. Go to church because you love God, because you want to have fellowship, because you are filled with love.
Yes.
The same love we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to church, you find bitter people.
What are your last words, your most profound words to especially the young people who've listened to this from the beginning? And it's probably a young man out there, a young woman with a big dream, but the circumstances around them don't seem like they fit. What can you say to that young person?
Well, what I can say to that young person is that you do have the potential to do it. You have everything you need for life and godliness. God has put everything in you that you need. You just need to find it. You just need to have the faith and to know that you have it. We all have it. Like I said earlier, we are all created to do and to become. So find it. Don't be afraid. Don't listen too much to the outside world. The outside world will break you. After all, 3/4 of them are not interested in your success. Even your own relatives, mind you, are not interested in your success. They will pretend they're happy. But the minute you fall down, they're the first to shout out. So remember, you've got it in you. And just remain focused. For as long as you have breath in you, there is hope.
That's right.
So the important thing is see it
in your mind. Believe it. Believe that you are worthy.
Yes, that you are worthy. We are all worthy. And that you can do it.
Oh, wow. That's so profound, I think, to end at the note where you point to love, point to self-worth, and point to self-belief. Because I think those are the three things that really give us confidence to step out and to achieve and to win. If you know that we are love We are loved because God is in us. So
It's
we
the greatest power of all.
Yes. We are worthy, isn't it?
Yes, we are.
And then we are well able. We are
We are.
capable.
There's nothing impossible with God. The Bible says with God all things are possible. So if God is love, with love all things are possible.
It's possible.
Full stop.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for taking your time. I hope I've been a worthy advocate, speaking for all those that are watching, asking the questions, so that we get to delve. I've had this book since 2014, so I understand it from A to Z. But then again, it's been like a fresh, look at this book. So I can assure you, you need to take time to watch through this. If you haven't, go back on this channel and on this page where you're watching. You can go back to the previous episodes and watch them. What is important is for you to transform. The interest is in your change. You need to become and satisfy that potential that God has put in you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Your
you.
closing words, and I won't say anything after you have.
Well, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to actually go through this book. For me, it's very, very important, especially for the young people, to read this book and have a great understanding of who they are and what they can do to change the face of this world. Not only Zambia, but of course the world around them. Again, I go back to love. Love is the greatest of all. It doesn't matter who did to you, whether you were abused, whether you were, just love. Love will solve it. It will melt everything. And then just be you. Be you. Don't be Brian or Liya. Be you.
Yourself.
Be yourself. Be the creative you. Because that's what God wants you to be.
Yeah.
He was creative. So that's the nature that he wants us to be creative.
That's true.
Think outside the box or throw the box away.
There's no box at all.
Throw the box away.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And goodbye.
www.transformwithdrliya.com